All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ocean Outlast Expert. I hope everyone is doing great. I know that I am. We're hopping on into things today, and we did stream this game save a couple days ago on, I believe Monday was our stream, and we might stream it on Friday as well. I am recording this on Thursday. I know it gets all wonky on when we're recording and what we're doing and stuff like that, but I do try to keep you as up to date as I possibly can with things. But if you do want to be involved in any of those streams, if you want to keep in the most up to date, I would highly recommend checking out my Twitch. I have it linked down in the description. Like I said, I stream on Mondays as well as Fridays in the afternoon. And then if there are any updates to that, I put them out there on the Discord, which is also linked down in the description as well. But enough said there. So let me recap you on what we did on our Monday stream of this week. So it's always hard for me sometimes to recall everything that we did, but you can probably see the biggest thing right here. So we obviously moved some stuff around. We built a whole new structure right there up on the hill. Eat some monster jerky here. So coming down here, we did shift things a little bit here. So we no longer have our biofuel generators down here. We no longer have our producers of biofuel down here. We have now moved them, and I will show you where we have moved them up in there. And I'll show you the layout that we ultimately went with. Now we do have this set up over here still, which is our drawer controller with our different items that filter into our biofuel. So we have carrots, potatoes, seeds, wheat, and now we are doing melon seeds as well. So I'll bring you over here. I'll show you real quick what we did. I took out this whole field. I think this was carrots, maybe? I want to say carrots. Maybe it was potatoes. It was one or the other, but as you guys saw, I mean, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of them. I mean, yeah, I think it was carrots because we're at 40,000 carrots. Like, that's going to last us a lifetime, realistically. So I switched it over to melons because melon seeds are something that you can utilize to help produce biofuel as well. However, that's the catch. It needs to be melon seeds. Now, if you guys are aware, when you break melons, you get the actual pieces of melon rather than the seeds. You get, yeah, you go from melon to melon. It's more of like a melon slice that you get when you break a melon. But what you need are the seeds, because the seeds are what actually help you produce biofuel. Now, what I did is I got the ball rolling with this, and considering once they're planted, you don't have to replant seeds for melons or for pumpkins or anything like that, which is actually extremely nice. So you're not having to fill out this buffer. So I only have 3 in here. And then what I added in was a little loop right here. So this exports on brown, imports down into this mechanical crafter on brown, and then it's taking all of the melons that it collects and converting them into melon seeds. That's exporting on green, which is the same as the default setup for the rest of our system, and then that outputs back over to here, which is pretty cool. Now I think I do I have a extended on here? I think I do. Yeah, I have storage upgrade on there. So yeah, that is how we have it set up. So we are getting tons of melon seeds, which, like I said, filter into our system and then help us produce biofuel to create energy, I should say, not storage, create energy. And as you guys have probably noticed over the past couple episodes, I have been somewhat obsessed with getting good energy going and having an abundance of it at our fingertips, which I feel like we are getting there without getting into anything super complicated. There's plenty of other ways to produce energy, don't get me wrong, but this is probably one of the more simple ways, especially utilizing a lot of the other mods in conjunction. It's a good way to get power. So I'll bring you in here. I'll show you what we got up and going over here with our new building. So it's nothing fancy, I will admit. It's just pretty much a rectangular structure here. And we come inside and we have our setup that we had down over at our little garden area, our greenhouse area. So we have our biofuel generators. We're still sticking with 3 because that produces plenty of power for what we need. I think we were reading that one of the things that makes the biofuel can supply up to like 28 of these biofuel generators, which is just crazy. That is so much. But yeah, this is pretty much running at max capacity here. And what we do need to do, which we will do here in just a second, is upgrade these universal cables. So we got these biofuel generators running into these universal cables. that go up to our ultimate energy cube, which as you can see, it's just not moving. It's just at a stagnant energy within there at 52-ish, 51 to 52 million RF, which is crazy. That's so much power. And really, we could get another one up here storing power. Now, you guys probably do remember we have our wireless RF battery here, and then our Spectre energy injector, which is putting energy into that Spectre-verse, or yeah, the Spectre universe, and then that our Spectre coils that transfer that power can be utilized. So we have those over on our automation setup, which if you guys missed it, I believe that was in our last episode, maybe, or maybe the one before it. I don't remember. I think it was the last one we got that set up. But then we got our elevator here, and we can come downstairs. And this is where the cool stuff is. So as you see, we do have 2 bioreactors. One is currently paused though. I was just doing some testing, and I'll get into that in just a second as well. So we have our bioreactor here. It is pulling in all of those different materials. As you can see, we got melon seeds, carrots, netherwort, potatoes, and lapis. And it's running at a 62.5% efficiency, which is not bad. That's actually relatively decent. Now, if we got more stuff in here, it would be a lot nicer, but obviously we're trying to get that balance here. Now, what we have is our pressurized fluid conduit from Ender.io running out and into this bad boy. So this is a dynamic tank from Mechanism, which is really cool. It's a multi-block structure, so you can pretty much make it in any way that you want it to be. I think the smallest it can be is a 3x3. So, 3 on the base, so 9 there, 3 on the top, 9 there, and then 3 upwards, so you'd have to get those additional points around it as well. I'm pointing it out like it makes sense, but you guys know. Whoa, my chair just unlocked itself there. There we go. Anywho, so as you can see, I have adjusted mine to be this size. I think the max it said you could do is 28 by 28. And yeah, mine is a unique style, like a unique size, I should say, because I've made it to fit in the space that I had. And you can also use this structural glass to be able to actually look into it. Now, you may be noticing we have some biofuel in there. Doesn't look like much, right? Well, yeah, that's a lot of biofuel. As you can see, it is just, it's going up and up and up. Now, it is a little bit confusing because this says the volume is 180. I mean, 180 what? You know what I mean? It doesn't really give us any more than that. But as you can see, we're not even, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's eighths, right? Yeah, that would make sense. Normal measuring. So we're not even an eighth of the way full. And we're already sitting at this huge number, almost 1 million right there, which is crazy. That is so much biofuel. And I'm just letting it run. I'm letting it just produce as much as it wants and continually fill up. And we'll have a nice backlog of it if we need it. Now, the nice thing about it is that if you break it, it retains that information of what was stored in it. So, like I showed you guys, we're at about, like, what, 600,000 right there. And if I were to break this, right here in the corner, this doesn't work anymore. It's not a multi-block. And as you can see, that's not even filtering into it anymore. Nothing connects. But I put the block back down, we're going to get some particle effects, as you can see. And then we look at it, and it has retained it. It's actually gone up because obviously our bioreactors are producing fuel, and then it's dumping it into there. Now that's where the glitch comes in. There is a glitch with this. I do want to keep you weary of it. And it's if you log out and you log back in, there's a decent chance that you'll come over here and it'll say no fuel. And that's very, very troubling, especially if you've accumulated as much as, let's say, right now. Well, the fix for it is to just break a block on the multi-block and replace it and reform it. Like I said, it retains the information, so it'll have it when you place it back together. Now, when you do come in, it'll show the biofuel going into it. It just won't show that it has any contained within it, like this. So again, if you are utilizing this and you do run into that issue when you relog, just make sure you break it and put it back together and you should be good to go. Now, even if you don't do it, even if you just let it be, it still will produce the biofuel and store it in there. So it's not like it will stop producing it and stop storing it. It just won't show it accurately. It's more of a visual glitch than anything else. So yeah, it's pretty much our setup. Let's actually get a nice little look here. Actually, other way, there we go. Got to make sure it's lined up good. About 10 minutes in. Got to keep that in mind. I'm lazy. I like to get our thumbnail as we go. So like I mentioned, we have our basic universal cables, which are feeding into our energy block. Now, we don't necessarily need to upgrade these because we're running at a stagnant energy source in our cube itself. We don't really need to, but let me explain why you might want to. And I don't think we are going to today. Universal, there we go. So a basic universal cable is going to transfer 1.28 kRF, or 1,280 RF per tick. So about 1,000 RF per tick, let's say. Which is not that bad, but you have to take into consideration how much power is being put out, and ultimately how much power is going to be flowing into that cable, universally. So from every single power source that you are pulling power in from, is it going to equal more than 1,000? Because if it's going to equal more than 1,000, you might want to bump it up to the next tier, which would be the advanced one, which would be 5,000. So that allows a total of 5,000 RF per tick to be distributed through that pipeline, through that cabling, to whatever it needs to be going to. So for example, really, it probably would make sense for us, if we want to bump up the production speeds on our machines, to have more advanced cabling over in our homestead over here rather than the basic, because the basic is only going to transfer that much power. But again, you have to kind of weigh it out. Do you want to spend the cost for it? Because it's not like it's super expensive. All you need is an enriched alloy to bump it up to the next tier. But the first tier is relatively cheap. It's steel and redstone. So, and it just depends on if you're running into any of those issues with a discrepancy in how much you're producing compared to what you're utilizing. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much everything we did on stream. The only other thing I will point out is we added in some more trees here. It wasn't necessarily on stream. I did some of this stuff off camera. And then if we come down here, I did expand out over here. I got to turn off our F7 there. I did expand out over here and just kind of made it look a little bit more pretty. So I added in, a nice little walk around area here. Nice little water pool coming into a central location here. If you guys remember, this was kind of an open space here. We weren't really utilizing it. So I just went ahead and I just cleaned it up a little bit. So nothing too crazy there. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much everything. The only other thing I do want to say is that we have been running our cobblestone generators along with our compactors. Wow, this guy is just coming. This guy is just hanging out here all the time now. I don't know what it is. But we have been running those, and we've also been running our automation system. And that's crazy because the amount of power that we have back there that I showed you, that 52 million, that's with the system up and running. So that's pretty decent that we're not utilizing that much power there. But I'll show you guys how much materials we've collected here just from letting that run. We are up to almost 11,000 iron ingots. 11,000 iron ingots. Just think about that. That is so much iron. Now, if we do take a look at other materials as well that we would have, gold, we're sitting at about 8,000. We could take a look at diamonds. If I could spell. We're sitting at about, 1,400 diamonds. And I think that's pretty much the big hitters. We could come down actually to our system here and we could take a peek through and show you. So yeah, we got a lot of those. We got about 1,200 emeralds. We got almost 7,000 lead. We got about 1,300 lapis. I mean, just look at this. I'm not trying to flex or anything like that, but it just goes to show how effective that automated system can be once you get it going. And especially if you just leave it and let it go for a little bit of time, it definitely pumps out a lot of resources for you to utilize, which is awesome. We are also sitting at 6,000 redstone. I did switch it over to output more lapis now because I want more lapis so we can utilize it in our biofuel generation process. So we're not going to be getting as much redstone because that has to be that trade-off there. But anywho, let's jump over here to our setup for our cobblestone generators and our compactors here. So there was some suggestions on how it could be set up differently and things like that. This is honestly one of the easiest ways to do it. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty straightforward. You don't need any power for it. The only thing that you're going to want to put a lot of resources into is the speed upgrades on our item conduits. And you could even use different transport pipes if you wanted to. But anywho. So as you can see, we are up to what we need. We have our sextuple compressed cobble, we have enough sextuple compressed cobblestone to get both our bag storage and our bag opener, which is awesome. So we can take all of those and we will come into our crafting here. I'm going to come up here though to do it. So finally we can get this going. Bag opener, boom, and bag storage, which we need another hungry chest for. So let me get some of these bad boys. So we need those. And then what else do we need for this hungry chest? We need a wooden trap door. Let's grab one of those. We do need to go over to our Thaumcraft area to get that up and going. But this is awesome. This is great news that we actually got to that point. It only took us hours and hours and hours to actually do it. But it definitely is worth it to do. Now, the one thing, though, that is... you kind of question if it's worth it or not. So we got the bag opener. We need the bag storage. Got to go into here. Bags. I should just take the bag opener off of there. Bag storage. Perfect. The one thing that you do kind of question with it, especially at this point in time, is what is there really to gain from it? So take into consideration the setup that we already have, right? We already have a great automation system set up that is pumping out tons of diamonds, tons of iron, and tons of, well, just other resources in general. Now, the main resource that we were getting from a lot of our loot bags was gear that we would then take down to our Tinker Smeltery and then smelt down into materials that we could utilize. Who is this? What? Who are you? Are you friendly? Are you not friendly? We have a dwarf here. Interesting. Says there's also a bad guy up there somewhere. Or downstairs. It's down below. Interesting. The amount of stuff that spawns is kind of interesting. We really should do some adventuring soon. We really should. Maybe we will do that at the tail end of this episode. But yeah, it just makes you kind of question, like, is it really worth it to get it up and going once you get to this point? Now, there are a few things that you can get from this that does, I would say, make it worthwhile. But, anywho. So, what we could do with this, if we really wanted to, is we have a bunch of bags down here. So we could filter out the bags from these bad boys here and then have them sift through. Well, we could put them into the bag storage and then have them sift through into our bag opener. If we put that here. Now, it does have an interface, which is awesome. Cycle bag. Ooh, okay. Which is pretty cool. You can actually... Ooh... So maybe it is worth it because you can upgrade your loot bags to be at different tiers if you really wanted to. So let's grab some item conduits here. I only got 4, unfortunately. I could make some more. It's always good to have some extra on hand because it's not like you're not going to use them. So we'll grab these like so, right? These are all export. Always active, always active, always active, and then insert. And that'll store all of those bags, which is awesome. It's just going to take all of them out of there, take all of them out of here, all of them out of there, and store them up in here. And then you can, like I said, you can exchange bags up or down. So if you had a legendary bag and you wanted to get a bunch of common bags for whatever reason, you could do that. Or if we took all our bags, we could see that we'll take... 256 will give us 1 or 5 legendary bags. Is that what I'm understanding here? I mean, we've pulled pretty much all of the bags out of here. And then we do have the bag opener as well. So I'm curious if I then put this between it. And it does have an inventory, as you can see. If we switch this to be insert. And this to be extract always active. Will it jump between the two? It does not look like it, right? We have it always active. We have it on extract. We have that on insert. It doesn't look like it'll do it for us, unfortunately. So it seems like this is a manual pull from here. I guess we could just double check that it's not like a specific slot that it has to be pulled from, because as you guys might recall, I don't think it is. From like our cobblestone generators, it had to go out of the top, but I don't think that's going to be the same here. But anywho, so 5 legendary, or we get 1 legendary bag. Okay, so that's what it's saying. You need 256 of total, let's say, tokens of these loot bags to get 1 legendary. And it's saying overall, I can get 5. So we will grab, well, I guess we could only get 4. That's interesting that it said we could get 5. But let's see what we get. So we get some, well, you know what? No. Let's check these bad boys out. Okay, so you throw them in here, and it takes a little bit of time, but it should open them for us then, which is cool. Now, the curious thing as well, it stores 123 right now. We have stored. So if we break this, let's break these, and we break this, right? I'm going to move it over to this side. Does it retain its information? It does, which is really, really nice to be able to utilize. So let's grab these then. We're going to flip this to insert, flip this to always active, and it should only take the bags. It shouldn't take anything else. I think it's by default, it knows what it needs to take compared to everything else. And let's see, does it take all the bags? It does take all of them, except these ones actually. It does not take these patient bags, which if you guys recall, the patient bags you just can open over and over and over and over and over again, and there is a chance that maybe you'll get something good out of it. So an artifact bag, you need a lot. An old, that's interesting. I'm gonna get one of these. I've never seen one of those blue ones before. What is the difference? So we have common, we have uncommon, we have rare, oh, epic, and then legendary. What's in here? Just apples? That's interesting. Okay. Interesting. I don't know if those old blue bags are like really good or not. Bread? Is that all we're getting from these? Is just like food items? I mean, it could be. We got coal from that one, so I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's anything too crazy. I'm gonna guess that the legendary ones are gonna have your best loot from them, right? If I go into here, I think it'll show you what your possibilities are. Yeah, it shows you what you can get from here, which is pretty cool. There's a decent amount of stuff in here, but again, it's like, it depends on what you're looking for here. So let's see. I mean, none of this stuff jumps out to me as being like crazy good. Now, if we go to cycle bag, we could do the artifact bag, and you can see what comes from that one, which again is nothing too crazy. You do have a chance to get an old blue bag there. We could cycle it. The old blue bag, which actually doesn't even show in the system, is that. But then you have your common one, which I think has a decent amount of stuff from a common one that you can get. It's not like the best layout to show you what you can actually be getting from them. Yeah, so, but that's awesome. It retains that information, so we should be able to take it around and move it. And this is still actually working. So what, we put 4 legendary loot bags in there, and it is outputting all this stuff, and it's taken its dandy old time, that's for sure. So let's stick this stuff away. We'll stick, actually, no, we need this because we're going to go over to a different location. We're going to grab more items that we need. And let's see, is this building up to open something? No, it's just replenishing its power. Now, I am kind of curious if I break this. There's nothing in there. Okay, it does not hold the items that were in it. So we do need to keep that in mind. So let's extract, always active, insert, just like so. So that should take all of the bags out of here and put them in here. This is a great thing to have. So I guess realistically, looking at it, it is worth it to have it just from a perspective of being able to store your loot bags way easier. It's so much better to be able to store them in this fashion than it is compared to what we've been having to do, putting them in their separate like crates and everything like that. Okay, interesting that one didn't get converted over. Why is that one not? I wonder if it's something that you've already opened but then closed again, if it doesn't work. That would be interesting for me to know, to understand. But yeah, we are storing up a bunch of stuff here. So let's grab that. And then we got one more place to go in order to to transfer our stuff. So we got to come over here and we're going to hop down into our basement here. It's nice and bright, which is crazy. I guess we don't really need all of these torches about anymore. And the reason that it's so bright is because we have those, oh wow, now I'd have to look it up again. What is that called? All right, there we go. The Spectre Illuminator. These things, we've been over them before, but they light up a whole chunk, and it's not just on the surface, it's top to bottom. So your top will be illuminated, and everything down to bedrock will be illuminated as well. It's actually kind of weird to see when you're traversing down into different caves and stuff like that, to see how illuminated it actually is when you get to that depth. So we'll get that placed back there. But yeah, it's really nice that we don't have to have all of these torches around here because we do have that light. As you can see over here, we don't have that light. The light's not over in this side. This is where it stops, but this is where it is. It's just so bright. It's so weird. I'm not like the biggest fan of it, but it is what it is. So let's get this set up here. I don't think there's any in that last one. Nope. So those are going to be extracting. We have our bag storage here. Let's make sure that is on insert. And then all we got to do to get all of this put into there is to change these to be always active. Just like so. And that's going to slowly but surely be taking those out of there and moving them into our storage, which is awesome. And then we can stick these away and we don't have to necessarily worry about them. Now these patient bags, again, I don't think it's going to accept it. Yeah, I won't take that one, unfortunately, but it takes everything other than that. So perfect. We are good. We can get rid of those diamond chests. We can get rid of that. And we can get 43 legendary loot bags, which is pretty nice. And then what we're going to do right now, before we wrap up the end of the episode, is we're going to head back over to our mob farm. And I'm going to get this integrated into a better way with our setup so that we can have all of our loot bags automatically go into the storage container rather than going into all of their separately distributed locations. So give me a minute, guys, and I'll get that set up for us. So guys, really quickly, before I jump to being wrapped up with what we got going on here, I'm getting things set up, and I did want to call out one cool aspect of the item filters from Ender.io. So if you guys are trying to get one of these filters set up and you don't have all of the items that you want it to be filtering, well, you don't need them. You don't need them on hand. As you can see, I don't have any of the loot bags. And actually, we went through and we converted all our loot bags like you saw. So I would have to go through and try to get each individual one so I could put it in here. Well, no, I don't have to do that. What is really nice is when you're in an item filter like this, you can go into your JEI and then kind of click and drag and click again what you want to be shown in the filter, because the filter is just using that metadata. It's not actually consuming the item. Like if you were to do this with the actual item that you had, it wouldn't do it, because throw that in there too. I think the artifact bags will go in there better. It won't consume the item when you do it. Like you will place it in there, it'll accept the metadata, and then you can hold on to that item. So you don't have to lose that item when you do it. So it's really nice and convenient that you can actually do it this way. So just a quick tidbit there to let you guys know a nice cool feature that you can utilize. All right, guys, so we are all set up here. As you can see, we have our bag opener and our bag recycler, which is actually kind of funny that it's like that. Let's just get a good shot lined up there. Cool beans. I'm sorry, the bag storage and then the bag opener, not the recycler. It kind of acts as a recycler though. So as you can see, I have it over here. Now we do have Ender.io conduits running behind and into here with that filter that I just showed you guys on it. And then the bag opener, it don't have actually anything attached to it, considering we can't pull from the storage into it. So we'll kind of have to manually do it. And realistically, I might move this to a different location, maybe closer to our storage setup or something like that. Or maybe I will move it to our basement area, considering a lot of the resources we could kind of filter into our smeltery if we wanted to. And I could come back here and show you guys. So as you can see, we have a Ender IO conduit going off that way back there. I've removed the item filters from here. I've reduced the priority on these ones. Actually, this one still has a filter on it. But this is just for legendary and patient. If they go in there, they go in there. If not, not. It doesn't really quite matter. We're not going to get those as often, but everything else is set to a lower priority. And I have the highest priority being the bag storage over here. So all of the bags should get filtered over there. It doesn't really matter priority wise. All the bags are going to go over there pretty much regardless because I have that filter on there. So with that being said, why don't we kick on our mob farm for just a minute here? And I have our imprisonment tool with the the mother spiders in there. So those bad boys are going to spawn. They're going to drop a lot of loot bags. As you can see, one got dropped there. And then this is just going to, it should be getting all of them. So let's just make sure that it's going. Yep, as you can see, the number is bumping up there. It doesn't actually show it, but it's going to be continuously bumping up. And none of these should be holding any of those bags. Actually, a legendary did go over into here because we don't have this set as a higher priority for that. So if I set that as priority 1, then all of the legendary bags should actually filter into the right place. So we can store that in there, and then all those bags should go over there rather than coming over into this setup here. We are getting a little bit of lag, I will say, because of the amount of things that are being killed. But we should be able to reach up there, and I show you guys. This is everything that's getting pulled. Now, you might want to actually put some speed upgrades on this to get them pulled out faster. Of course, I hit the wrong button there. Which we could actually do, because considering we are all done with our cobblestone generation, I'll probably let it continuously run. Well, maybe I'll revert it back to getting coins now instead of doing this. But basically, we could take off these, right? Because we don't really need them on here. Grab all of these speed upgrades out of here, which is, it's a lot of speed upgrades. I mean, look at that. We almost have a whole stack of speed upgrades. And yeah, I think what we're going to do for the time being is we're going to break this and we're going to let it sit and just kind of relax for a while because we don't need it. And we'll probably integrate it back into our setup for getting coins, like I said. So if we take these speed upgrades over here, we should be able to get them put on here. So if we come up to this, we got to kind of wiggle our way up here. It's kind of hard to get in here. All right, let's get the back of that. So we do have one speed upgrade. Let's put as many as we can. So it's going to do 64 per operation. So it should be pulling things out relatively quickly here. Yeah, it's pulling them out relatively quickly. And we do have our trash can set up as well, which is getting rid of junk. So we'll stick those extract speed upgrades away. We can take a peek at it here. So this bad boy is going up, as you can see, which is awesome. And we don't have to necessarily worry about a bunch of junk getting stored elsewhere. Now, I did decide to hold on to the legendary ones because the item filter wasn't big enough to contain every single bag. And considering probably we are going to move towards just getting legendary bags, I figured let's just have the legendary bags off on their own thing here. I am probably going to turn this off, though, because it is quite loud. So I'll just put a pause on that for the time being and let it sit. Now, realistically, what I am going to get going in here eventually are probably skeletons. And then we'll get a lot of bones up and going. And then we can utilize that, convert it into bone meal to be able to help power our biofuel generator. Because obviously, I am obsessed with getting biofuel generation up and going. Now, we are going to round up the episode with that because we are pretty far over our time here, but I do want to just jump back over here and show you guys where we're sitting with our biofuel. So within that, 20 to 30 minute time period, we got almost another 100,000 produced into there, and we're getting ever so closer to that 8th mark there, which is pretty cool to see. So guys, with that being said, we're going to round up the episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like down below. Better yet, leave me a comment. I am taking in all your suggestions. I know that there have been suggestions for Flux Networks, I believe it is. I do have it on the list. I have a list of stuff to go through and do. Don't worry, there is an abundance of content to go through with this mod pack, and we will get to it eventually. I do stream over on Twitch, like I mentioned earlier on in the episode. I have it linked down in the description, along with the Discord, which I also mentioned as well. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'll catch you all in the next one. Take it easy.